welcome to How Modern Support Teams Plan for the Holidays. I'm the host, I'm Caitlin. Prior to this webinar, we got some questions from all of you guys. So today we'll be going in a little bit of a chronological order, talking about planning for the holidays, executing the holidays, and then a little bit about post-holiday recovery or analysis, depending how you think about it. And then I'll try and leave a few minutes at the end just in case anyone has additional questions. Feel free to put questions in the chat. We might not see them, but we have a couple people on the back end helping to kind of regulate those questions. So to get started, we have a lovely group of panelists. So maybe we can start with an introduction from you guys, a little bit about you and your team. And if you wanted to run a little bit about your holiday planning too, we can use that to get started.
Thanks, Caitlin. Excited to chat with everyone. I'm Sarah. I'm the CX Operations Manager at the Farmer's Dog. I've been with the company for about 3.5 years now, and our support team is now at about 100. Most of that is in-house, but we do have also like a third-party support team that we work with for a small number of regions. And then in case anyone doesn't know, the Farmer's Dog is a subscription service, fresh dog food service. So direct to consumer, we cook like fresh made dog food that's really healthy, and then deliver it to your door kind of at intervals that work best for you. And then regarding holidays, I would say that, we're not typically a super seasonal product. Obviously dogs need to eat their food year round, but we do, run some holiday promotions with just like deeper discounts than we typically would grant. So we're expecting to see quite an uptick in new subscribers during the holiday season. And so in preparation for that, we're definitely thinking through staffing, coverage, hiring up a little bit, beefing up our third-party support as well, and just kind of like also thinking through, what kind of contacts we can expect and what kind of training we can equip our team with to make sure that they're really confident and supported throughout the holiday season.
My name's Lexi. I'm the Chief Customer Officer at Pirate Ship. We are a free shipping software platform. So we just started aggressively hiring and scaling back in August to meet our seasonal demands. We definitely grow exponentially during the holidays, so I'm glad that we got a good jump on it this year. I'm really excited to be here. I'm super passionate about customer support and employee experience, so I think this is going to be a great chat today.
Awesome. I also feel like you have your holiday colors on with the red. It reminds me of like a holly plant, so.
Thank you, I tried. I was getting in the festive spirit. When I was telling my friends back in August, we were looking toward the holiday season, they said, what holiday? What planet are you living on? We're in August, but it's nice to get into the festive spirit early, so.
Agreed.
Hi everyone, my name is Talon Nabulsi. I am a team manager, support team manager at Looker. Our support organization is just shy of 100 people now. We're all internal Lookers. My team spans California, Tokyo, and Switzerland. And I used to be a support analyst, so I manage people on a team that I used to be on. I have a very close tie to customer support and customer empathy. Right now, what we're doing the plan is asking for people's preferences, what your plans are, what you want to do, what can't you miss, and we take it from there.
And that's actually a good transition into kind of like thinking about timing and thing. I'm curious how far in advance you guys start to plan. Lexi, I know you mentioned August. Does that mean that you're starting to plan in August? When do you start thinking about the holidays? How do you think about how many folks you need that far in advance from when you're going to be getting questions?
We cross-reference against a few different tools. So we've built a really robust worksheet that's pulling in the amount of live chats that we receive on a 15-minute increment basis, matching that against our efficiency scores per agent. So how many tickets can a live agent take at any given time, multiplying that across our month-over-month growth, as well as our year-to-date growth. So we have that really amazing worksheet. We use Intercom as our platform so we can cross-reference against those data points. And then we look at Assembled and we say, what is Assembled pulling in? Where does Assembled say that we've got hotspots or a lack of coverage? And so we really build our scheduling, our staffing, and our hiring against those tools. And it's working really well for us.
Any differences for Sarah and Talal about when you guys kind of start thinking about staffing for the holidays, and or like if you have a different process to figure out how many folks you need?
So it depends on the holidays. It's pretty funny. So considering that it's the Christmas holidays and New Year holidays, it's a thing that is shared across most of the world. Other holidays, we have a global team. So Thanksgiving does not exist in most of Europe, as far as I know. So we have a team in Dublin, so they cover us. So for these upcoming holidays, the big ones, the Christmas and New Year's, we don't start in August. We have a more predictable flow, luckily, so we don't have to go that early. We go back, we have about 7 years worth of data, and we use that to project. So then we start about this month, really asking for people's preferences and what they want to do.
For a SaaS company, are people asking questions on holidays usually, or shipping makes clear sense. And I'm sure Sarah will talk a little bit about like how they think about it with promotions, but like, are people still asking in for SaaS? The
demographics, quote unquote, of our customer base changes over the holidays. So as you could think of, as people take holidays and they go out to go to see their families or take some time off, retailers actually go into high gear, and they cannot do that, as Sarah will probably mention. So we have a lot of our customers that are very big retailers. So we actually, while our general volume goes up, there's the kind of like mission critical things go up. And we staff to basically pay more attention to our customers that have a lot of things depending on a lot of reporting. And we want to make sure that's throughout the holidays they receive all the information they need. So we shift our focus, is what I would say.
And Sarah, what about for you? It sounds like it's based primarily on promotions. That's probably really specific and like resonates with folks who are in direct to consumer brands, where like Cyber Monday is happening, Black Friday maybe, and especially even like during COVID, are all of those kind of like big holidays still happening?
Yeah, we appreciate you, Talal, making sure that we still have access to all of our data. But
we love the farmers, dog. They are a customer.
Yeah, we definitely are preparing. I would say, like in terms of timeline for preparation, we started towards the end of Q3, so kind of about the same as you, Lexi. But in terms of like what we're preparing, I would say the focus is a lot more on the logistics side. So like just like building up our inventory, making sure we have FC capacity to actually ship out all these orders, kind of exploring using different carriers. So kind of on the supply chain side. And then like for customer experience, like I said, definitely beefing up our team. So like hiring, we brought on a cohort of 12 in I think September, and then we're doing another 12 in November. So pretty much just kind of preparing as much as we can. And in addition to like coverage, I would say like a big focus for us has been kind of thinking through how we can like mitigate some of the inbound contacts that don't necessarily need an agent touch, so that our team can really focus on like the more like high value types of interactions that, hopefully like do require that human interaction, and also like probably bring our agents more fulfillment in handling too.
What are some of those? Like, have you guys thought through how you're going to hopefully mitigate some of the volume?
I would say it's a combination of a few things, like self-service tools, obviously, creating some new content that can just be readily available for either new subscribers or people who are thinking about signing up. So just like those product type questions that our team typically gets. And then also, I would say like just kind of creating like some help center so that like some of those initial questions that we have like really like canned responses for that would normally just be a macro would become like essentially like a chat bot. So kind of like using some AI, and then like I guess lastly thinking through some sort more of like more creative like routing and just like how we can get conversations to different teams. And I think I mentioned in the beginning too, some specialized training. There are like a few processes that become a little bit more critical during these like high trial acquisition periods. So we're like training up these subsets of agents to be able to handle those processes more readily than they typically would during the rest of the year.
Lexi, you mentioned you were on Intercom. Do you guys use some automations as well during holidays that are kind of specific for the season?
That's a great question. We don't really get a lot of seasonal queries. We just get general volume growth. So like Sarah, we really lean on very robust AI tools. We have an automated bot that does some of that heavy lifting for us. We also have an incredible help desk with over 100 articles that get a lot of traction. But I think being really smart and strategic about how you utilize those tools and when to lean on them, for us gets a little tricky because they have a higher margin of error, and we're really in the business of offering like an incredible experience. So you should be able to go to pirateship.com and ask our bot for a joke, and it should give you one. But if it doesn't work, an agent will always get back to you and provide you with what you need. So yeah, we certainly try to use those tools as we can.
Will the agent get back to you with a joke?
Absolutely.
Okay. Oh no, there's going to be an influx of questions coming into Lexi's team.
Yeah, I want to check after and see how that went.
On a more tactical level, Talal, you mentioned that now team is starting to kind of think through getting preferences for teammates, but like how do you determine who gets to take time off if everyone asks for one day? Is there any sort of process or tips you have for thinking through like who takes time off?
Unfortunately, I don't have any little bumper sticker type tips like the size of I can give you 4 points right now. What we do is, so we use Looker very heavily internally, and then we use assembled. Forecasting is one of the biggest things we use assembled for, and then we compare against our own data, and we take the worst case scenario. And then once that is done, we staff with a minimum. So we start with what is the minimum staffing we need with a tiny little bit of a buffer. Because we also, that's something that we have a little different, is that we also have always have urgent support 24/7, 365 days a year. So that is always our second fallback. So then we start with that, and then we try to, after the cutoff will be like about a month, I guess, before. So really the cutoff is at the end of this month. So then if we staff with a minimum staffing level, can we provide everyone on our team with the required holidays? If not, we generally don't have a stacking system. We get all team managers like myself to have a chat with the team. And we center those chats around customer empathy and then team empathy. So it's like, the team, we all work together. We all work very closely every day. People need to take time off. What can we push? What can we give at a later time? And then keep in mind, our customers are going to be, especially retailers, under a whole lot of stress these times. So we want to make sure we're there for the more difficult parts. Hopefully there won't be any, but just in case.
Yeah, I feel like buffer is really important for the holidays, because if people are high stress, like if you have retailers, like in order to keep them happy, you might even need to hit a faster SLA than you typically would. Does anyone else have like tips or tricks as to like discussing with your team or like setting expectations for your team of what sorts of days they take off. I know for some retailers, I think there is like some more strict rules just because you have to have people working on certain days, but I don't know, any other thoughts around like who should work when?
For us, we definitely have a few days this year that we're kind of blacking out for PTO, just to make sure we have the right coverage for those days that we're like really driving promos. And then other than that, I would say we kind of try to balance it by having agents let us know what their preferences are between like basically the 3 main holidays that we have upcoming. People maybe don't celebrate all of them. So that kind of makes like the balancing a little bit easier. And then I would say like we also give people the opportunity to work overtime. So sometimes actually having folks who wanna work a little bit more and make a little bit extra money during this time allows us to then be able to, on the flip side, grant PTO to those who are really hoping to take more time off.
Do you guys have like different locations too? It occurs to me that maybe there's like, I don't know, is there flexibility in the hours that people work even? Like, I picture like afternoon on Thanksgiving is maybe less desirable and like maybe morning on Christmas, but is there that sort of flexibility too within your schedules?
For us, we do have 4 main locations, 4 different time zones. So we do get that kind of flexibility. But we have different forms of chat. So we have live chat and we have emails. We do not have phone calls at Looker. So we do have still company-wide holidays where Thanksgiving here, I believe, is off for everyone except for urgent support. And then when needed, we can pull in other regions to do some weird hours, say 8 to 2 a.m., 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. We generally try to stay away from it but when needed, people do step up, and we ask for volunteers usually, and people do step up and help.
And Lexi, what about for your team? Any tips, tricks? And also, are you guys across a couple different regions or mostly the same area?
Our entire support team is really based in Oregon, so everybody's there. We've approached our philosophy to holiday staffing a little differently. We use data to really forecast some dates that we're blacking out where folks will not be able to take off PTO. And then everybody gets off Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, Christmas, half day on New Year's Eve and New Year's. Then the days following are all hands on deck days where you're expected to pitch in and help out, clear that backlog. And that's really worked well for us. I think setting customer expectations that say, hey, actually, we need to shut down as a business as well. Our employees deserve to shut down just like you deserve to shut down, and you've earned that break and that rest. So, and then beyond that, we had the conversation really early. I mean, at the beginning of September, I said, okay, guys, we're doing blackout dates, so please plan holidays accordingly. You can travel home if you decide to do that. You can work from a remote location as long as you have Wi-Fi, and then plan around that. Take a day off here, take a day off there. And then we actually just had a discussion earlier today where we looked at everybody who really hasn't taken time off, and we pulled them aside and we said, hey, we noticed you haven't really been requesting time off. It would be really smart of you to pick a day, shut down, rest and recharge so that we can approach this holiday season with grace, since it's usually high volume, high intensity, emotional aspects from people trying to ship their goods. So that was kind of our approach this year, and I would say so far so good.
Is there any difference, because you mentioned time off or working from home, and have you noticed anything different? Like, do you guys usually offer kind of like a work from home even before all the teams are working from home, or is that kind of like new this year given the current climate?
That's definitely new this year. And it's going really well for us. I would say that a lot of folks really miss each other. We've identified that being in an office, being able to swivel around and ask your peer a question is really an integral part of our culture. But I think that we're making it work over Slack, and I've been surprised, to be honest. This is a point, maybe it'll come up later, but that a lot of folks really didn't request time off for the holidays. We have a lot of people taking their birthdays or a 3-day weekend here or there. But I think what's really changed this year with potentially COVID is that people really aren't traveling. So a lot of folks are just staying home for the holidays this year.
Yeah, that makes sense. Has anyone else noticed any other like changes from last year due to COVID? I mean, I know everything has changed, but I didn't even think of this point of like, since people aren't traveling, they don't maybe need as much time off, so they could use it for other days. Are there any other like trends that you guys have noticed?
We did not really do work from home before all of this. One of our values at Looker is the kitchen table, and we literally have a giant kitchen table at every office. And our product is quite complex and technical, and nobody really knows all of it. So we were literally right next to each other. If you ask one of us a question, you're asking all of us a question. With that, just as a context, with the shift of work from home, that just the camaraderie is definitely there. We have a constant video call that people jump in and out of. It's our virtual kitchen table kind of thing. However, all that to say is people are taking less time off, and we're realizing it's really kind of had to have us push people to take more time off because of exactly what Lexi said. A lot of people are not going back home. So that gives us more flexibility. It's like, hey, how about, just take a week, just burn off some steam, just get relaxed, because people are constantly, we all work in support can be quite taxing, and people really need time to just take it, make sure they look after themselves. So it's us trying to find people that space, and ideally line it up outside of the holiday season.
You bring up a good point, like skipping ahead a little bit, but we can leave our chronological order for a moment. From last year, is there anything you guys planned in January as kind of like a recoup from the holidays, or like anything post holidays that kind of like helped with team morale or helped like just reset the team after such a busy season? Sarah, I feel like last year I actually came and visited the Farmer's Dog in January, and I feel like you guys were doing some of this. So maybe you can speak like if you have plans for this year, or if you guys did anything last year that was kind of like a nice reset, or kind of like I don't know if I remember correctly, kind of like people had worked a lot, so you're kind of trying to like reestablish normal work and like working hours and that sort of thing.
I want to say that hopefully this year we're a little bit more prepared for the expected increase in volume. Last year was the first time that we ever ran any kind of holiday promotion, so it was very much like a trial run, and it was wildly successful, which was awesome for the company, obviously, but definitely put CX in a little bit of a bind, just in terms of like what we were asking. And people definitely worked a lot. There was a lot of OT, and luckily, we're able to offer that, and it was an opportunity for folks to kind of make a bit more money. But on the flip side, we ended up kind of with a little bit of like a just uneven spread across the team of like who was really kind of working tons of hours, and then folks who were working less. And then, so yeah, we definitely took a pause in January, or a beat, to just say like, okay, who do we need to kind of revisit and just like make sure that they take some time, and make sure that everyone just really knows how much we appreciate everything that they do too. And we were able to kind of like push through some promotions for folks who were more tenured, and yeah, just kind of reevaluate. I think like for us, a lot of the work that came in January was kind of looking at learnings on like what we can do aside from just kind of throwing bodies at the volume, and really kind of think through like what do we need from a product perspective that we can start to put into the roadmap for 2020 planning, so that when this holiday season comes around, we'll be more prepared and basically like give our customers a lot more autonomy and like ability to self-service their own accounts rather than relying on CX.
Lexi and Talal talked a little bit about like where their teams are located in terms of like having a global team. So there's maybe some additional like sources there. How do you guys think about that? Like, do you guys have folks who are in kind of like different locations who can help out? Or is there any like creative ways you've thought about that?
Our team is split between New York City and Nashville. So we have those two locations, only an hour difference in time zone. But I mean, that hour does help in some respects with servicing our West Coast customers for sure. And then, as I mentioned, we have a third-party support team as well. So they're really kind of an awesome tool during these high volume periods because one, we can obviously flex them into the hours that are maybe less than ideal for our internal team. But two, we can actually kind of like get creative with how we utilize them. And if there are like certain topics or certain tasks that are kind of like high in volume and very time consuming, but maybe like I said, don't necessarily need that like really like white glove service, we can kind of like quarantine those types of conversations and make sure that those get routed to that team, and then have our internal team really focus on like the more nuanced scenarios. So that's kind of a helpful tool, and they're sort of I guess, the only lever we can pull in terms of like different time zones or different hours.
Did you guys work with this partner beforehand, or are you ramping them up just for the holidays?
We've been working with them since like early Q3. We actually had a different third party last year, and then we decided to switch, and we onboarded with them in Q3 because we were also going through really high growth at that point. Some surge volume, so we were able to kind of get them in pretty good shape, and we're actually increasing the number of agents we have with them in preparation for holidays, and getting them trained up on more topics as well.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you kind of have to set specific like headcount requirements and maybe even hour requirements, and it's like a little bit more structured. So how did you guys think about that or plan for exactly how many heads you wanted to add? And even potentially like if you're thinking about how many people you want to add just for the holidays versus like maybe in January you might need less.
They've actually been awesome, and they're really flexible, and can kind of like ramp up and down pretty flexibly as we need. But in terms of like deciding how many additional headcount we wanted, we similarly, we have kind of a few different places that we cross-check. We have like an internal projections that we've built with like a lot of kind of less quantifiable, I guess, like metrics built into it, because we have a lot of agents on our team who are doing like one-off tasks and are kind of in between roles at the moment. And then we definitely use assembled forecasting as well, and then kind of like figure out what the sweet spot is, and especially like looking at the types of conversations, knowing that third party is going to be handling sort of a different subset of topics. We look at a pretty granular breakout of like volume against like our different tiers and queues to kind of figure out how many heads we'll need based on how many conversations an agent could handle in a given day or a given hour. And one thing that I actually was thinking about before when we were talking about remote work, so Farmer's Dog has always been pretty flexible. So last year during the holidays, we were mostly remote as well. But I would say this year, something that we have like had a really intensified need for is just like visibility into daily workflows, like when we're looking at handle times or trying to like figure out where we can improve agent efficiency. That's a lot harder to do when you don't have like actual visibility. So something that we've been leaning on pretty heavily in like Q3 and then into Q4 has been the like agent dashboard within Assembled, the adherence tracker. And I think that'll be like really instrumental for us throughout the holidays too, since we're going to be staffing people in so many different places and kind of like changing what our normal, I guess, like workflows are for those agents.
For better or worse, I guess all of us have kind of been like prepping for this potential holiday work from home since we've been working from home for a few months. So maybe there is a silver lining there a little bit. I had a note here too about like some creative ways to keep customers happy over the holidays. And I know that Tal, you mentioned that you guys have like kind of an urgent queue or a way to handle urgent questions. I was curious if you could elaborate on that, because to your point, like sometimes the worst thing can happen over the holidays, and kind of like figuring out how to staff for those. I don't know, like, who do you guys staff for that? How do you determine who can ask questions? Like, are there different tiers of customers, or I don't know, what are your thoughts on keeping customers super happy?
It's one of those things where there's a particular ringtone that you hear, you know, when you get used to an alarm or something that wakes you up, then if you hear that ringtone anywhere else, it just kind of gets you. So that's our urgent. It goes through, it sends you an email, calls you, texts you, and the app pushes through. So it blows up your phone pretty significantly at any point in time. We have that 24/7, holidays or no holidays, and we have a sort of a newer founded system, but we also have a similar system for DevOps that's been there forever, and then engineering now has it too. So depending on the severity of the issue and impact and how deep it is in the product, impact to business. So first of all, it gets triages through we are called the Department of Customer Love, DCL. So it gets through us. I am on call sometimes. It's staffed by managers, technical support engineers, and we go through it. If we can resolve it, we will. If not, we'll move it. We'll involve DevOps or engineering if need be. That's just always there. We try to swap holidays. So like Dublin does usually Thanksgiving. Dublin does, Labor Day, the usual things that we only have. And then when we move over to more global holidays, it gets a little trickier. Luckily, Japan mostly doesn't do Christmas. So it's like that we try to swap it around. But there's no gate on it. Any customer can reach us at an email that I will not say right now. But
I was going to ask if there's some is there a team that vets those, or is there kind of like
there are
system
humans
in place that
there are humans that do. So we ask customers that to look at the severity of the issue before pushing the button, but always better safe than sorry. We definitely want to make sure they're all taken care of. So yes, a person will reach out to you within usually under 15 minutes and either move on with the issue or say, hey, this is actually not within our severity levels, and we're happy to get back to you within business hours.
I see Talal has learned from Lexi's error and now have a bunch of joke groups coming through his personal cell phone. I don't know, maybe it's not unique. I haven't seen that in a ton of SaaS companies. I know at Assembled we have Slack channels that we man, but maybe a little bit smaller. So maybe when we're larger, we'll put into place this kind of like SOS. But I love that customers can kind of reach you if it's really important, kind of reach you no matter what. I guess thinking a little bit about after holidays, I know I jumped ahead earlier, but any other maybe from last year or things you guys are planning for this year, but more so in terms of judging how the holidays went. Maybe we are a little bit too early for that. Although Lexi, you seem to start planning things quite in advance. So maybe you have a plan of how you may analyze kind of how the holidays.
Absolutely. I would say that I've learned, interestingly enough, that data is not unequivocal. It can tell you a story that your agents will tell you something different. So we really approach staffing from two different angles, making really intelligent, strategic, data-driven decisions, and also checking in with our employees. Where do you guys feel like the hotspots are? When does it feel super tight, like you don't have the coverage that you need? And then after the holidays, I think that reflection is so important, as well as radical transparency. Those are all things that we do a lot. So come January, the hiring valve will be open again. And before we start accepting new applicants, we'll have a chat and say, how does this feel? How did it go? What did I do well? What could I have done better to support you all as a team? What tools do we need in place next year? And really bolstering the management team so that they feel like they have the skills that they need to support their teammates. So we reflect a lot. We also get a lot of candid feedback. People will say, hey, we need to change this today. We need better coverage. We need another night person, whatever it may be. So it's an ongoing dialogue every week in our team meeting. So I would just say that reflection post-holiday is really important, not only for how you can make better changes for your customers to give them a better experience, but also ways that you can better support your agents. And I really like what Sarah said about being really feature-driven. Looking ahead, okay, what do we need for 2022 to start offering a really dynamic product where people don't need to write in? That's obviously the super objective, right? Is you created a really elegant product that is totally self-service and people don't need you. But people will always need you. And so I think that just having candid dialogue with your team is really, really important.
Do you have a system in place, or are you guys interacting over, like, I know you mentioned just talking in like a weekly meeting. Do you guys weekly sync where you can get feedback on those sorts of things?
Yeah, definitely. We have an ongoing Slack call all day long. So that's where they can ask each other questions. It's also where we have different roles that get what we call special time, which is basically time away from the live queue to focus on different objectives that are supporting other areas of the business. And so you might need to get pulled from that and you might have to hop on the live queue. And so they stay really fluid and really dynamic over Slack messaging, over the Slack call. And then we really implement a very intimate relationship with our employees from the beginning. I've personally met and hired every single one of them so that they know that if there's a problem, they can reach me at any time on Slack. They can send me a message. We can jump on the phone. We can work through anything that comes up really quickly.
So do you guys still have, like, is your kitchen table, your virtual kitchen table, functioning as kind of like a feedback area as well? I know you guys were also recently hired, so now your team is debatably one of the biggest teams in the world. So is that, like, because I do think post any like big push, it's good to get feedback. I don't know. Have you guys thought at all about how you're going to try and like analyze the holidays or think about feedback?
Ours historically, I guess, ours has been a bit different. There's not, so feedback is usually in our weekly one-on-ones with our team, and that should be surfaced, or if there's anything seen. The kitchen table is always a great point to a great place to bring up anything at all and have it be answered. Usually there are different people, different positions at the kitchen table. I would say usually our yearly planning starts before January, but then we get all the holiday information and how we did in January, and then what that has resulted in. Because our team is large enough now, we've had actually different orgs come out. So we have a person that's responsible for the quality. We have a quality analyst that's responsible for the quality of our customer satisfaction. Our bar is 95%, but like we're trying to always push it. We have a supportability engineering team, which is basically support embedded in product teams and engineering teams. We have we have a 2-person education team that they're responsible about. Just their responsibility is ramping up new people, having education resources available. So those all came out of like looking back at the year and it's like, how can we become more effective and not just keep adding headcount left and right? We need to build efficiencies, especially when we open new geos or add more people at a different level. And last year, one cool thing we actually did was we had a customer success conference where we flew everyone to, I don't know what it is, the Disney that is in Florida. I always get them wrong, so apologies.
Disney World.
That one.
Yep.
And then engineers, sales engineers, professional services people actually got on chat. So our people were away for a week, and that was handled by other departments. So that was one way we got people some relief and got them focused on just having a good time and then planning for the year ahead.
Wait, the whole support org went to Disney World?
The whole customer success org from all over the world, yeah, including support.
Wow, cool. I think that I would love to take a note of that and just forward that along to the assembled C-suite folks and just see what they have to say.
I see you on the call, Brian.
Yeah, and it's on here. Awesome. Well, I just have one last question, which is kind of a fun one and mostly out of curiosity. But I'm just curious if anyone has anything fun planned for like holidays for your teams, holiday parties. I know with remote, some places like there's outdoor things. I don't know if the teams are the same place, but I don't know. Does anyone have any kind of like holiday parties or fun things planned for the holidays?
Oh man, we've been talking a lot about this because we're about to hit a really significant customer milestone that will intersect at some point with the holidays. We just did Drunk Santa, where I had 2 of my managers drive around and drop off rum and snacks to every single person's door. So we were thinking about doing that. The CEO wants a bunch of cupcakes. I got requests for pirate ship themed rubber ducks. I have a very eclectic creative team. So I like to take suggestions and see what people want. I think this year we're probably going to do like a pizza party and do a virtual happy hour. And things like that. So if anyone else has any ideas though, I'm all ears.
I see you have your pirate themed background. Looks like you have your rum ready for Drunk Santa back there.
I have to explain to people I'm not an alcoholic. I'm living the pirate brand. It's all
the pirate life.
I'm living the pirate life.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in our training. You're allowed to drink on the job as long as it's light rums only. So.
Okay, so your holidays sound pretty fun. And sorry, Sarah, I interrupted. What are there dogs involved in your holiday party?
I'm glad that was discussed because I was appreciating the background that you have over there, Lexi. It's so tricky because like we love celebrating things, and like it's hard for us to like all not be together this year. Typically, like we've had a huge holiday party, and there are like a few different events kind of leading up to that where we do like bake-offs and just like other fun like food oriented things because in addition to dog food we also love human food, but yeah, this year we haven't really like settled on anything yet, but like we kind of have a small team within CX that's dedicated to sort of like employee experience. And I know that they're like kind of toying with some different ideas around like raffles and just kind of things that can like build team engagement during a time that we know is going to be like fairly stressful, if not for like all of the world events that are happening, definitely because of just increased volume for the inbox. So I know that they're kind of working on that, but like nothing's decided yet. And I don't know, I'm also very open to any ideas that people have.
Can I do a shameless plug, Caitlin? Because
Sure.
we did a fun thing where we surveyed people about their favorite snacks or their favorite items, and then we started shipping everybody boxes full of their favorite snacks. And so I feel like that's a great way to engage your team. And the next time you're at the grocery store, you grab their favorite candy bar and you can use Pirate Ship to ship out your employees' favorite snacks. So there you go.
I mean, that's actually a great tip. I know that we sent a bunch of our customers like assembled shirts and like some other assembled swag. And I know that we did use Pirate Ship. So I think it's okay in this case to shamelessly plug because it is like a time of year when sending gifts is normal.
I appreciate it.
And then Talal, maybe we'll close out with you. Anything planned at Looker?
I'm not great at planning festivities. That is usually left to other more creative, less I don't know what the word is, so I'm not gonna.
Maybe analytical.
Yes, that's great. That's great. Thank you. We our headquarters here is in Santa Cruz, so we have usually go like sailing, go on the beach. We have these things, and then the holiday party. None of that is happening, obviously, because of COVID. So I know there are things that are happening that are super cool. If any of my team members are on here, I have heard him mentioned in meetings. I have zero idea what they are, but they are coming. So I'm going to be as surprised as you are. We're going to find out together. So sorry, that's a terrible thing to close on. I have no idea.
That's okay. I'm sure someone's planning something. And maybe I can just say that I feel a great Christmas or holiday gift would be dog food shipped specifically from Pirate Ship, and also a month free of Looker, which I'm not saying you will get that, but you could ask for it and then you could do some data analysis over the holidays. So for anyone who's looking for ideas, maybe that's a great plan. I think that's it on my end. Thank you guys so much for coming on and talking all about the holidays, being festive and sharing a bunch of tips. I know we're going to post this later, and if folks have follow-up questions, we're all in support driven. So feel free to find us in the support driven Slack channel too. But thank you guys so much.